How difficult are relationships? Let me hear from you. Relationships can be difficult. Not just married relationships. Relationships in the Lord's church are difficult sometimes. Relationships with the world. How many of you own businesses? You have relationships with people that are difficult. One time, I had a very difficult relationship with somebody that they owed me a lot of money. And this was very young into my business career, and I didn't know how to handle it. And it was December the 23rd, and our children were babies, and we were broke. And I had to have that money to buy Christmas with, and I had to call Barry Smith. You remember that? Huntsville Hills. And I had to get Barry involved because he was working with me, and he had to talk me off the ledge. Relationships are difficult. They just are sometimes. Josh and I have had, I've been able to lean on him through my business career about how to deal with people sometimes, and when there's dollar signs attached. What's two things you don't mess with people in a relationship? Their kids and their money. Stanley, of all the years you've been in business, how difficult sometimes can business relationships be? Man, they can be great until it's time to write a check. And then you got problems. You have difficult relationships doing what you've done for 30 years, haven't you? Some of them involve handcuffs, right? And how often do they call you when they get out of prison and thank you? You ever had that happen?
I've run into a couple over the years.
Maybe a couple over the years.
I didn't recognize who they were, but they never knew.
Yeah.
Said thank you.
Relationships are hard. They're just hard. So what we have to do is we have to be responsible for ourselves. A guy told me one time, he said, there's 4 things that you can change. Outside of this, quit trying to change people. Don't try to change people. Don't build your life and build your faith on what other people decide to do if they want it or don't want it. So he said, here's what you've got to do. You have got to control these 4 things. And if you can control these 4 things, and they're going to be difficult for you to control, but if you will control what you think, you can control what you say, and you can control what you do, and you can control how you feel. If you can work on those 4 things, and you get those 4 things under control, what you think, what you say, how you feel, what you do, you're pretty much going to have a pretty good life. But how hard is that? Because we want people to change. We want to see change. And a lot of times we don't want to be the ones to what? We got to change. So let me ask you a question. We talked about hinging your life, how important those 3 hinges are on the door. Hinging your life on being understanding in the home. So ladies, if you've got a husband that is just super understanding, what have you got? What do you got, ladies?
Gold mine.
You got a gold mine. All right? And you said what? You said a gift. What else? If you got a husband that is super understanding, what have you got? What else?
A better life.
You got a better life. Wow. What's that saying? Happy wife, happy... I don't believe that. How about happy spouse, happy house?
That sounds good.
That's pretty good too, isn't it?
Mom
Guys,
ain't happy, nobody's happy.
if mom ain't happy, nobody's happy. That's good. Guys, let me ask you a question. If you've got a wife that is incredibly understanding, what have you got, Blake? You got a good life. That was too easy. You just copied what she said.
Yeah, that right there.
Jack, what do you got?
You got a blessing.
You got, Jack said you got a blessing. Barry, what do you got if you got an understanding wife? I mean, how big is that? It's huge. It's huge. How many jobs have you got? How many jobs have you got right now? You got Captain Fire Hall. You got your other job. You're gone a lot. Huge responsibility. You deal with life-changing things. How important is it that you have somebody that's just really can adapt and be flexible? It's got to happen. It's huge. So if you've got that understanding in your relationship, and people are attracted to people who are understanding, people who are approachable are understanding. And then if that second hinge, you've got people that are humble, how important is it that humility be in the marriage? Sam, how important is that? You serve as an elder for how many years? 5 years. Did you ever deal with men that struggle with humility as an elder? Is it detrimental sometimes? Can it lead to divorce if arrogance is a part of that home? Yeah. I bet you've seen that as an elder. How many of you other guys in here as deacons have worked with a young marriage with somebody to where arrogance was full of the marriage? What does that do, Davey, to a home when there's a man that's just full of arrogance? Destroys the home. So think about this other thing. Can you answer this question? Am I an encourager in my home, or am I a discourager? What's the opposite of a giver? A taker. Are you a giver or are you a taker? Are you a person that brings about a better situation in a turmoil situation? Are you a person that when people see them coming, they're going, listen, here comes somebody, here comes a lady, here comes a man that's going to make my situation better? Can you say that about yourself? Can you say that about your spouse? That I can sit down with my husband, I can sit down with my wife, and they're going to be honest with me, but they're going to bring me up out of this situation. Can you say that? And the next question is this. When has there been a time in your life that somebody encouraged you and it changed your life? When has there been a time in your life that somebody encouraged you and it changed your life? Share that with me before we start reading. Now think about that for just a minute, okay? When has there been a time in your life that somebody encouraged you and it changed your life? I'm waiting. Come on, share it.
I can think of a bunch where I was discouraged and it changed my life, but the opposite, I guess. Something people said or something did that changed.
Yeah. All right.
But,
You want to share that?
I can, yeah.
Do it.
It's a little embarrassing, I guess, but when I was about 19 years old. My brother was about 17, and my dad told my brother that if he didn't get off his butt and study, he was going to be just as sorry as his older brother. And it basically changed my life because it made me work harder every single day to prove my dad right.
And you did that. 100% did that. 100%. What else? What's in a moment that you had, Stanley?
I just had coaches encourage me over the years when I was playing and stuff that made me play better and harder.
Yeah.
Everybody's had that probably.
Coach is important, ain't he, Misty? Do you feel like, Misty, you're in the coaching realm right now, kids that are going on to play Division I school, Division II schools. How important in today's society do you see as a coach? Do they do better if they're encouraged, or do they do better if you just pound them and drive them and drive them and drive them? How do you think they operate better?
Now it's encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you why. We got a society of people today that the end result is suicide. You never ever know. How many educators are there here? Kim, you've been a teacher how long? 29 years. What did you say?
I said 29 years.
There you go.
She was just talking about how long it's been.
Yeah. You take kids. We got any Vietnam era guys in here that served in Vietnam? Is there anybody? Ned? When you went to Vietnam and you were in that realm or serving that realm overseas and you came home, you guys went to work. Suicide was not really an option. You guys went to work. You saw some very traumatic things. Matter of fact, in today's society, you could probably be listed as having some form of PTSD. You probably could from what you saw. Would that be a fair statement? Okay. The kids that come out of the military today, and they serve 2 or 3 years, 4 years, they come out of combat zone, they come back, and they don't have work to go to, and they go to get help, and the VA sticks them on medication, and you see the suicide rate is at an all-time high. It's at an all-time high. And what we see is that the end result today is suicide. It's everywhere. And I would tell you that if some point in time along the way, if somebody stepped in to encourage them, and I'm talking about it's intentional. Encouragement just doesn't happen. You have to be intentional. And this may be something that you are not good at. Well, look, it's when you sign up to be a Christian and you wear that name, Jesus was an encourager. He embodied every single thing about being and bringing courage. He did. He did. And I tell you, there's several people in here who I'll share with you one. In 2016, my first back surgery, it just tore me up. Who in here's had back surgery? 1, 2, 3. Okay, between all of us, we've probably had 10. I've had 7. I've had 4 big ones. I've had 3 put to sleep epidurals. It's a procedure, okay? Barry Smith, you seen me at my worst. You seen me at my worst. You seen me at my worst. And you have. And you have. And one night in 2016, I was at a very low place. I'd had this surgery and I got hooked on Percocet. How many of y'all know what Percocet is? All right, I got hooked on it. And the chemicals in my brain, it saw Percocet, it felt it, and it loved it. But my body didn't respond to the Percocet good. And it took me down. Now, when I say down, if you know me and I'm down, something's wrong, right? I went downhill quick. And I'll never forget driving on a Thursday night. It was in 2016. And I had gone to take Livia to basketball practice. And I was depressed. I was already down. And Jamie and Lily were gone to a volleyball game. And I couldn't quit crying. It was the side effect of the medicine, what it did to me. Now, when I say down, I was down, okay? I was down, and I wasn't praying about it, and I can't explain it. If you've ever been depressed, like depression, you know what I'm talking about, right? We talk about it. Well, let me tell you how God works. Davy Gardner, you sit right over here. When I pulled up to 112 Chapel Creek Drive, that guy and your son, Austin Bailey, were at my door waiting on me. They had no idea how down I was. When I saw them, I immediately just dropped, didn't I? We went inside and I just sobbed. I just wept. I can't tell you why. I was depressed. That medicine, it took me down. And that night, you know what? He really didn't say a lot to me. You know what he did? He just cried with me. He sat on the couch. He pulled me to him. Do you know why? Because he knew what I was going through. It was a moment in my life that helped change my life. You know, the next day after he and Austin prayed with me and Brett too, do you know that I threw the Percocet away? I had about 10 left, and I threw them in the trash can, and I got off of them like that. Now that was how I got off of it. I was able to quit it. But that is one moment in my life that I can't explain what the encouragement did in my life. There wasn't a lot said. It was just action. Actions speak louder than words. So here's the point. You never know when you're the person that God puts at the seat of that table to bring somebody up. You never know. And it helped to change my life. And there's been other moments in my life that I've shared with people in this room that have brought courage to me to help change my life. There's 5 or 6 of you here. And you really didn't even know it. Wasn't a lot said that night, was it, Davey? Wasn't a lot said. But boy, that love and that encouragement, and it's okay. I was able to give myself permission to be okay. That's powerful. That's what courage does, encouragement does. All right, so 1 Corinthians 15:8. You got it right here, Gary. Matt, Ephesians 4:29. Mama, 1 Thessalonians 5:14. Lisa, would you like to read? Be okay to read? Philippians 2:4. Donna, would you read? Okay. Hebrews 3:13. If you don't want to read, you can pass. Dusty, Galatians 6:2. You read for me? Romans 15:2. All right, now read it slow. Read it slow. Who's got 1 Corinthians 15:58? Read it real slow.
Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
How many times do we want to be recognized for encouraging people? You ever work with somebody and you work with them and you work with them and you work with them, and then you get deserted or you don't get something out of the deal and you get discouraged and you want to quit and you want to give up? How many of you experienced that before? Come on. Come on, y'all. Listen, this is truth. Truth is truth. Read it again.
Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain.
You be steadfast, you be immovable, and you always, always, always abound in the work. In the work of what? In the Lord. Encouraging people. God puts people in front of you every single week to encourage. I don't care where you are. And it may not be something that you ever dreamed that you could say or do, or just a moment of kindness, but that has the ability to change the direction of a person's life. Now, read the last part. The last part's the most important. Remember what it said. Be steadfast. That means be consistent. Be immovable. Don't allow outside circumstances to deter what God has put you in the seat of the table where He's put you. And then what did it say do?
Knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
It doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter how other people respond. Why? Who are you doing it for? You? Who are you doing it for? The Lord. He said, your labor, everything you do, is not going to be in vain for me. You going to have personal issue with somebody? Yeah, you do the best you can to work it out, as much as it depends on you. Keep peace. Be immovable. Be steadfast. Always abound. What's the word abound mean, Christian? Abound. What does it mean? You know what it means? Abound. Keep growing. Look, it doesn't say find a hole and stick your head in the hole and live that way. What does it say? Abound. It says always. Because everything that you do is for the Lord and it's not in vain. You're going to get a star in your crown. Keep working. Keep abounding. Take a little time to have a pity party. Stick your head in the sand for a moment. But pull your head out and get back to work and doing good for people. Somebody's counting on you tomorrow to lift them up, even when they don't deserve it. Right? Who's got the next one?
Ephesians 4:29.
Do it. Yeah, you got it.
Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear.
All right, so when people see you coming, what kind of words you need to have on your lips and on your tongue? The Spirit of Christ, grace. Give somebody better than what they're deserving to get out of it. Does it mean that we can't be honest with people? No, because Gary Bailey will tell you this. If it's funny and true, you got to say it. But there's a time and a place, right? There's a time and place that you need to say it. There is a time and there is a place to honk at somebody. Right? When they are pulling out in front of you and you get honked at because you almost hit them, you got to honk, right? Especially if you know them. You got to say it. You can say it and be truthful with somebody, but look, the end result is this, is that when we get through talking to each other, the best that I can do, my goal is to bring grace to him. Man, if I want grace and mercy and forgiveness on Judgment Day, what I got to be doing good at giving right while I'm here. I got to extend that. Admonish each other. Lift each other up. I can be truthful with him at the right place and the right time in a loving, gentle way that when he leaves the situation, he will know the truth. And it don't have to matter where I stand, but I can elevate him instead of terminate him. Right? Does that make sense? Admonish each other. I think when the church really and truly gets this, when the Lord's people gets this, and love abounds, we will see each other as a piece of heaven. It ought to be a big deal when I run into you at Walmart. It ought to be a big deal. Man, it ought to be a big deal when you call me to come over and you need help with something. Boom. It ought to be a big deal when you get up there and you do what you do tonight, and I grow from that. It ought to be a big deal when Dusty leads us in the Lord's Supper reading, and I gain from that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Man, it's a big deal when I bring somebody to your house who I can't help anymore, but you can help them. That's a big deal. Man, it's a big deal when we can sit and cry together because somebody about lost their life. That's a big deal. Admonish each other. Encourage each other. Right? All right, who's got the next one? Who's got the next one? I think we're 1 Thessalonians 5:14.
I've got it.
All right.
We urge you, brethren, admonish the unruly, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, and be patient with everyone.
Be patient with everybody. How about people that know what they're doing wrong and they're doing it anyway and they're just in a bad place? Go ahead and kick them in the gut while they're down. Stomp on them a little bit. Put your thumb on them and grind them a little bit. Go ahead and give a little dose of judgment and tell them everything they're doing wrong. Is that what that says? Nope. Doesn't say that, does it? It says do what? Read it again.
It says, we urge you, brethren, admonish the unruly, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, and be patient with everyone.
He said, I plead with you to do these things. I beg you to do these things. It's going to take effort. It's going to take effort to do that. What's it mean to be patient with people? That's a tough one out there, isn't it? And be patient with each other. Oh, it's difficult. That one requires a lot of prayer. That requires a lot of
No, you
prayer.
never pray for patience.
You don't?
If you do, he's gonna give you the lesson.
Man, I hadn't prayed for that in a long time. That's hard to pray for.
It's
I
dangerous
did
prayer.
one time.
You did.
It cost me 6 months of my life.
Do share. You want to share?
I can.
Do it. Lay it out for us.
When I was a youth minister, I wanted all this wisdom. I wanted it physically, so I could be able to talk to those kids, and I wanted it spiritually, so I could be able to talk to those kids. So I was begging the Lord for it. And for 6 months, He sent a brother in Christ that was an alcoholic that drunk every night to my doorstep. I'm talking starting at 10 o'clock at night.
I remember.
Till like 3 o'clock in the morning. If I didn't come out there, he'd sit out in my yard and blow his horn. Man, I'm talking about, and I had to work the next day, every day.
I remember
He was
this.
killing me, and I'm gonna tell you, it got to a point where me and Lori she finally got pregnant, and I was like, I ain't gonna let this cost me my child. So what I did was, I told the Lord, I said, I don't know what to say to this guy, but I said, you need to put the words in my mouth, because I don't want to kill him off as a brother, but by the same no, so he's got to know that he's not welcome to do this stuff. And so about 2 o'clock in the morning, God put the words in my mouth. And that brother fixed him. Fixed me and
It's awesome. God will do it. Be careful what you pray for, right?
That's right.
Who's got the next one? Okay, Lisa.
Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
Y'all, you can't look out for yourself all the time. People who are discouragers are about what? Self. They are self-absorbed, and they're motivated by what comes to them and them only. And we can't do that as Christians. That's easy to do. It's easy to find yourself there, but it's very Pharisaic. It's very Pharisaic. So we got to look out for other people. You got to look out for other people. There's going to be a lot of things that I know on Judgment Day that I'm going to get called out on. I should. But trying to love people is not going to be one of them, because I'm really working on it. I'm working on it. We'll talk about that in a minute. Are you loving people? Are your actions speaking louder than a bunch of lip service? Does that make sense? All right, who's got the next one? Colossians 6:2. Was that Hebrews 3:13? That was Philippians 2:4. Who's got Hebrews 3:13? Thank you, Lisa. All right, Donna.
Encourage each other every day while you have the opportunity to do this, and you will be deceived by sin and become stubborn.
You want to be deceived by sin? Don't encourage people. You want to be deceived by sin? Don't encourage people. When did that say do that, Donna? Look at that one more time. Encourage people when? While you have opportunity. All right, now go back to the very first part of that verse.
Encourage each other every day.
Every single day. Now, how often are we together? When's the last time you saw me? You didn't see me Sunday. I was at last Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've seen each other one time in 7 days. Shouldn't that be good? Man, shouldn't when we see each other that be special? I think we're in for some times. I don't know this. I think we're in some time for some persecution coming. All new level stuff. It ought to drive us to love each other when we're together. I'm just saying. We should be honking at each other a lot in the parking lot. I mean, I'm just saying that when I see you, it ought to be a positive thing. It ought to be a hug, Josh.
I just hit you.
You're getting better. You're getting better. Think about it. I'm not talking about walking around with a fake, perpetual feeling toward each other. I'm talking about a genuine, sincere feeling. Who's got Romans 15:2?
Let each of us please neighbor for his good to build him up.
Yeah, build each other up. Do what's best for somebody else. So now the question, do you give encouragement to people? What ways can you encourage people? What ways can you encourage them? Come on, y'all should be firing this one off. Greg, what ways do you encourage people? What ways do you encourage your wife?
I don't see her. No, any kind of words. It could be words. It could be gestures. It could be
Words, gestures, thoughts.
Right. Sometimes silence is the best way.
All right. What ways? That is true, by the way. That is true, by the way.
Laughing too hard. What's going on?
What would Maddie? I'm gonna get you on this one, okay? I want you to think for a minute. In what way would Maddie say you encourage her?
Serving her, helping her, take care of things.
Love it. Lads to Leaders this weekend. Who saw me at Lads?
Made me hug you. I saw you.
That's not all.
Because he had that sweater on.
That's not all. Did you like that sweater, by the way?
Not at all.
Man.
You don't even lie to
What's up with my cardigan? People don't still make fun of me saying it.
Worse than that.
I can deal with it. What'd you see me carrying around? What'd you see me carrying around? What'd you see me carrying around at Lads? At times. What was I wearing on my shoulder?
That sweater going to sweater.
No. I had my wife's purse, of course. Right? She had neck surgery. Jamie had neck.
You thought it was your purse.
Not that.
You started it.
I want you to think about this for a minute. I did start it, sweater. I want you to think about it. Y'all, listen to me. The littlest things that you can do that might be a big deal to you, when you do for somebody else, do it. It's encouraging. It's the little things. We won't even fix each other a cup of coffee sometimes. We're that selfish, right? Are we really going to be that way in the home? Are we really and truly not going to make an effort to encourage each other? I tell you what, a marriage that is full of encouragement is going to be a marriage that makes it to the end. It's going to be a marriage that makes it to the end, doing what's best for each other. And it starts with the little stuff.
Is that why you drink the life of the creamer?
Watch it. You remember that story? I won't do that again. By the way, I buy 2 creamers now. I put her name on hers and mine on mine. It's always about the little stuff, right? What happens when you run out? I go get more. What way would your spouse say that you encourage her? What way would they say that he is an encourager to me because he does this? What ways do your children, if I were to take a poll and ask your kids, tell me about how your dad encourages your mom. Tell me about how your mom encourages your dad. Maybe I call up your 40 or 50-year-old son and ask them, hey, I'm just wondering, I'm doing a statistic, can you tell me things growing up that your dad did and your mom did to encourage each other? Can you tell me that? What would they say? And if it wouldn't be good, you can fix it now. You fix it now. Think about that. Change somebody's life. I want you to think about this. I'm going to give you 5 things. Just write it down quick, and then we got an example in the Bible. These are 5 qualities that make an incredible encourager. Now, there are 5 qualities and characteristics that you got to work on. Number 1, when you have a genuine heart for people, leaders great qualities of a leader is they know how to love people. Would you agree with that? Do your employees know that you love them? Do your children know on a daily basis that you love them? A great quality of a great leader is when you have a genuine heart to love people. That is the first and most important characteristic of becoming a great encourager. Number two is that Linda said this last week, is that you have an empathetic ear. What is empathy? How is empathy and sympathy different? Sympathy is when you feel sorry. What's empathy?
You've been through it before.
Walk a mile in my shoes. I've walked a mile in your shoes. So, when you are talking to somebody and you are listening to them, and they are struggling with a certain sin that you have struggled with, you can hear them out and you can empathize with them and you can share with them what you did and how God brought you out of that. That's empathy. That's encouragement to them. Big time. Big time. Meaningful encouragement is grounded in understanding. It's grounded in understanding. Number three, an eye for potential. When you have an eye for potential in people, it encourages the ability to see people with untapped potential. They don't see a person for where they are, but they see them for where they can go. Somebody saw something in me at 25, and they spent time with me, and they helped change the course of my life. They didn't necessarily look at where I was in the alcohol and the junk that I was doing, more so than they looked at the potential of how they could help me get out of that. So are you looking for ways of where people are to meet them there and to make a path for them? Make a path for them. If I get lost on the Appalachian Trail and I come across somebody that knows where they're going and I see where I'm at, would it be smart for me to follow them? Yes. So am I out paving a path and looking at where people can go versus where they are? That is a beautiful characteristic of an encourager. Don't go kick them while they're down. Go provide a path for them. Let them follow you out of there. Walk with them. A lot of times guys say, I got your back. Don't do that. Get their front. Get in front of them. Get in front of them. If you're spiritually stronger than them, get in front of them and take some of those spiritual darts from the devil. Take it for them while they're healing and help lead them out of the way. So see people's potential. That's a beautiful characteristic of an encourager. Number four, be a consistent source of hope for people. Are you a consistent source of hope for your spouse? Are you? Do you live with somebody that provides hope? If you don't, you need to change that. That is so important. Encouragers see circumstances and conditions that are changeable, and they're a proponent of helping change that. They give each other hope. Man, sometimes a little hope is all a person needs to change. That's all they need is a little bit of hope. Do you provide that hope? Number five, the last one, is a great characteristic of a great encourager is a person that inspires other people, not by a bunch of lip service, but it's how they lead their life. They become a picture of humility, authenticity, compassion, and then action. I'll start it, you finish it. Actions speak louder than words. Let's say it like this. A bunch of hypocritic talk that they know you ain't going to live. But you just want to be heard because you like to be heard and you ain't going to understand nothing. And all you do is talk a bunch of stuff that you ain't going to do. And that's the only way to put it. Do you back up your walk with God as an encourager by the way that you live? Bottom line is this. An encourager, their walk's in line with their talk. Actions speak louder than words. They may not say it, but it's by their actions and what they do that encourages people. I promise you, we live in a society that's full of discouragement. So it isn't going to be hard to encourage somebody every day. It's just not. It's not going to be hard. People who add value to others almost always do it intentionally. It doesn't happen by mistake. It's because it's intentional. And it could be the littlest thing or it could be the biggest thing. It could be the biggest thing. A couple weeks ago, Officer Crumley, somebody had to kick that door and go in, didn't they, Stacy? Somebody did. They were together, but one of them went first. What an encouragement. That officer that's behind him is alive today because of Officer Crumley, right? He saved his life. Somebody went first. Who are you going first for today? Are you going first for your spouse every day? Are you going first for your kids? Are you going first for the guy down there on the corner who you know he's fixing to walk up to you and ask you for money? Are you going for him? Are you being an encouragement to him? Are you being an encouragement to the people that you don't like, that you really don't want in your face and in your space? Something to think about, isn't it? Encouragement. People who add value to others almost always do it intentionally. So, what makes a great encourager? A person that'll pray with you, a person that will help you solve a problem, and a person who will pursue a positive change in their life. And that requires you to chase it. It requires you to get on your knees and to pray about it. And to think, am I a taker or am I a giver? Am I an encourager? Am I a discourager? And if we're not doing that at home first and foremost, there is going to be a heavy, heavy price to pay. Because if you are married to one of God's children. And this is not an option.
It's just listening.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Morgan, when Amanda was in the hospital, I don't know what I'd have done.
Beam me up, Scott.
And she has no idea what she did.
Powerful.
I didn't home.
Did you know that she was going to say that tonight?
She said it before.
Yeah.
I didn't know she said it.
Powerful impact. Powerful impact. Does all this make sense? Does it resonate? Do y'all think that's something that we as brothers and sisters should work on, need to work on, can work on? We feel like it's something. It is.
Look for opportunities.
Got to look for it, don't we?
I think, Adam, sometimes you also have to look at yourself. When we were talking about what would your kids say, this weekend we had, since it was our first time not at Ladd's, we had
I thought about that.
Nathan's family there, and did an Easter like late lunch, early dinner, and we were in the kitchen, and one of Nathan's nieces, I can't remember which one, said, because Nathan made a brisket, and you know, he gets so nervous, Josh knows, he gets nervous when he cooks something because he's afraid it's not going to turn out good, and he got a lot of that honestly from his mother, because his mother is, well, this is probably not done, this is dry, and this is probably not going to be good, or, you know, it's kind of a glass half empty kind of childhood, I think, is where he came from. So he thinks that, and I'm like, it's always good, it's great, you know. I just try to be that encourager to make him feel good about it, and I'll eat it, whatever it tastes like, it doesn't matter. But anyway, she said, he came in and she said, oh, is it about done? And he said, well, I don't know if it's going to be good. You know, he sounded just like his mother. And he left the room and she said, he gets that from grandmommy, doesn't he? And I said, yeah. I said, so just tell him how great it is, you know, to make sure and reiterate to him he does a good job, you know. And the kids would say that because every one of them know that well, it's probably not going to turn out good. Well, this is not going to taste good, or that's not going to be good, or this light's probably going to stay red for 30 minutes, you know, whatever. It's always that, you know, and I think a lot of us can find ourselves looking at that empty, you know, half empty sometimes, and well, this is not going to be good, and that's going to be that. And you've just got to, you know, try to be some kind of positive, encouraging light to anywhere. And, you know, I think that your attitude and your smile can also reflect that to other people.
100%. You might never have to say anything.
And you may not even, I mean, if you walk in the room and everybody sighs, I mean, you know, that's not a good sign.
That's a great point. Think about this as we come to a close. Store up for yourself what in heaven? Treasures in heaven. Being an encouragement to people is storing up a treasure in heaven. Quit counting your money, your physical money. That is going to burn up. Your retirement is going to burn up. Where you live, everything you have, it is not yours, it is not mine, it is going to be demolished. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Being an encouragement to people is a treasure in heaven. Think about that. That's powerful. It's powerful.
It's almost impossible to be an encourager and a pessimist at the same time.
Well, that's a good point. Now, what I'm not saying is this, because this can be taken wrong, okay? Because we're closing right now. I'm not saying that you don't have a right sometimes to be in that season where it's difficult. I'm not saying that. Feelings are real. Pain is real. Suffering is real. Emotions are real. Those are real, and you need to experience that. But those things need to drive you closer to the Lord. They need to drive you closer to the Lord. And part of being an encourager to people will help you work out of that. It will. Y'all, to say something bad about somebody, it don't take any effort. Come on. It don't take any effort to throw a rock across the fence. It don't. It doesn't take any effort. But what does take effort is my outlook can change the outcome of somebody else's day. That is holy, that is biblical, that is a beautiful characteristic of everything that Jesus hinged his life on. So work on it. Start in the home, start with your spouse, start with your children, start with your brethren, start with people at work, whoever you come in contact with, at Publix, wherever, at Walmart. Find a way to encourage somebody. When they're done with their shopping cart out there, take it from them and say, hey, I hope you have a wonderful day today. Encouragement. This is your class. We'll be an encourager. Go love somebody.